Hey, what's up? Welcome to another broadcast of TC the G Radio. I'm your host, your girl, TC the G, broadcasting directly from Tijuana, Baja California. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to have a great time. The topic of conversation for this broadcast is health is wealth. So let's dive right into the conversation. So, health is wealth. When I think of health and wealth, I think automatically of treating our body with respect, as we were speaking about last episode, respect. And more than anything, health is wealth means we're constantly chasing this idea of money, right? Which is fine, because it helps us, survive or whatever. But when we make it our sole purpose in life, that's when things start going downhill in a way, because we're giving value to something that's material. Of course, again, it helps. Of course, we need to have goals in our life and strive for the good things in life. But at the end of the day, we do need to keep in mind that our health is above any amount of money. Any amount of money. And I guess this can also translate with our work. And, when we work for these corporations that, want us to be in front of the screen for 8 hours straight, or, you get a little break in between, but we're glued to the screen. If you have an office job, glued to the screen for so many hours. And, I personally have noticed that, it's like an energy. It sucks the energy out of you when you're in front of the screen for that long. So it's not something that's humane to have humans do. Of course, there's some days when you're like all in it and like, yeah, you're pushing. But, after a couple of days, things start coming back to you as far as being tired and, your eyes hurt, etc., etc. Of course, there's worse jobs. Of course, there's worse things you can be doing. Of course, being in front of the screen can be a benefit to some people that may have, less fortunate circumstances. I understand that, in that perspective, yes, of course, we need to be thankful for these jobs. But at the same time, we need to keep in mind that the body has boundaries, has limits. It's not good to be in front of the screen for so many hours. I think for kids, what's recommended to be in front of the screen is like two, not even, I think max is probably like 2 hours. So as adults, maybe we can double that, 4 hours, and even that, we're in front of the screen at work for like 8 hours. So it's pretty robotic. And it's definitely not healthy to be sitting down all that time and not really moving your body. Because then at the end of the day, the body was made for moving. It was made for working it, walking, et cetera, et cetera. And so with that in mind, we do need to keep in mind as well that we need to have our body, do some kind of exercise, it could even be walking or something light. It's just a matter of keeping your body moving so it doesn't decay. And I think one of the most important things is what we put inside the body, the fuel that you're putting inside your body. We have all these, junk food and fast food and all of these things that are deteriorating our health. So it is very important to read the packages, make sure that we're choosing healthy food the majority of the week. Of course, junk food is kind of a part of our daily life, and here and there is fine. That's what I tell my son. Sometimes it's okay. You don't have to completely cut it off, and it might not be good to completely cut it off either. I remember when I first got here to Tijuana, I hadn't eaten meat for like the longest time. And I decided just to try a taco just because I was back in Mexico, celebrating, trying the food or whatever. And I ended up getting sick because it was so long that I hadn't eaten meat. And I felt so sick, almost like I was going to die. So I kind of feel like, it's good to sometimes throw some of this junk food in there, just so we can, build our strength to it. Otherwise, we might be making our immune system too weak for this hard food if we keep it too clean. So I think sometimes it's a little good to throw a little bit of junk in there, just so it could keep it balanced, or exercised whenever you do want to eat junk food. But overall, we do need to watch what we eat: fruits, vegetables. That's pretty much what our diet should consist of: fruits and vegetables. Now, when I talk about vegetarian, being not eating meat, I'm not against eating meat. You can hunt your own food. But the way the corporations nowadays are handling meat, it's pretty much all chemically, they put all these chemicals, and it's not really like food by the time they get to your table. Like the hot dogs and the burgers, a lot of that is called you guys can research it. They call it pink slime. Pink slime. Because that's how it really looks like. It looks like pink slime, but then they turn it into a hot dog. So it has no nutritional value. If anything, it's making us sick. It causes cancer. A lot of the colon cancer, is actually caused by eating too much meat. And again, I'm a nurse. I have a little, my diploma, auxiliary nurse. So I went through all this information, and they tell you straight out, meat is what's causing colon cancer and a lot of cancers, because we're not meant to just eat a lot of meat. It's supposed to be fruits and vegetables. We're not complete carnivores or anything like that. It's just supposed to be just a little protein, just a little tad bit, just to give flavor to the food, like in the Asian countries. And that's where they live so long as well. It's just too much meat that we're putting into our bodies. And that's just regular meat. It's processed meat. That's what makes it go cancerous. The processes that they go through, the chemicals, everything, the bleaching, everything that they go through is what makes it super, super unhealthy. Another thing that I think we should also keep in mind as far as health goes is, the things that we watch, what we put in our mind. We need to be very careful with what we put in our, what we're watching, what we're putting in our minds. Because the mind is pretty much like a computer. Whatever you see, whatever you put in there, through the senses, hearing, smelling, touching, all of that gets stored in our brain, like a computer, like a hard drive. So everything you've ever watched, everything you ever experienced through the senses, seeing, smelling, tasting, hearing, touching, all of that is actually stored in the brain. So, and it will recall things. So if you're putting trash in your brain, guess what you're going to be thinking the whole day? Trash. So if you're putting good things in your mind, positive, books, if you're feeding it uplifting things, it's going to give you uplifting things, because a hard drive has uplifting things. But if you have a hard drive full of junk and violence and rage and, disasters and all this stuff like in the news, that's all you're ever going to think about, because that's all you have in your hard drive. So we do need to be very careful, and especially with our kids, what we let them watch, because, whatever it's in their mind is going to be making it, it's going to be the setup for their future, whatever they have in their mind as little kids. And I have a lot of battles of these with my son, because he constantly wants to be watching TV, and he shouldn't. No kid should be watching that much TV. And it kind of sucks, because the new modern life, the kids, they kind of have nothing to do in a way. They kind of just go to school, and other than that, it's just at home. We don't have like back in the day where they can help, and where we have fields of fruits and they can help all day, and it's a community kind of thing. Now this modern life has kind of separated all of us, and kind of doesn't give much to do besides work for corporations. And that's something, that I kind of strive for. I want to be able to have my land and have my house with my son, and we can just plant our trees and fruits so we can have our own place and not have to worry about buying things. And of course, when I make the money, I want to, give it back to the community, to those who need it the most. And I want my son to continue on with that legacy, to keep that going. I want to be something good for society, and I will hope that he kind of follows, not my footsteps, his own footsteps, but in the same way, being a good person. I think that should be everybody's footstep, being a good person. Because if we're not good people, we're not going to get along, and it's just going to be chaos in the world. Of course, we don't have to agree on anything, on everything. We don't have to agree on everything, but we do have to have respect for each other's opinions. Of course, if these things are causing pain, you can't just say, this is me, this is my life. No. If you're causing pain, that doesn't apply. Those are the things that some people try to run with, like, oh, but you said I can do what I wanted because it's my life. Yeah, it's your life, but you're not supposed to be causing pain to other people. So we do need to keep that in mind as far as, having a healthy environment, a healthy society. We do need to keep each other in mind, not just ourselves. So it is very, very important. And the TV thing, to me, is one of the biggest issues, honestly, because, that's one of the biggest programmings that we're getting as human beings. Our mind is kind of programmed with what we put in it. With this, and so the kids watching sex all day, that's what they're going to grow up thinking about. And hoochies and strippers and all this stuff, Stripping is not a job. Stripping is prostitution. Put a stripper in a regular job and see how long she lasts. She won't be able to. That's not a real job. I don't like it when people try to say that they're hard workers. They're not. You know who's a hard worker? The little Mexican lady fucking selling tortillas in the corner. That's a hard worker. It doesn't take much work to take off your clothes and open your legs. That takes zero effort. To hustle every day, to get up every day, that is what the kids need to be seeing, what they need to be having in their mind. Because all they see with all these artists, Megan Thee Stallion, and notice how they look like kids in their videos. They're making appealing to kids. And all they're talking about is sex, sex, sex. If you're a grown-up, I don't think they're really like, I'm a grown-up now, and it doesn't really attract me seeing, or not attract me like in a sexual way, but it doesn't grab my attention. It's not something that I look up to, seeing a grown woman wearing little girl clothes. She's wearing little girl clothes so she can appeal to little girls. The way you appeal to women is being a woman. Obviously, she's not. She's just being, sexualized and dressing like a little girl. And girls are going to, look up to that. Especially if their parents are at work all day and they're watching this girl all day, In some ways, they have a big influence in our kids. Big influence, not just a little one. Big influence, especially with music. So we do need to teach our kids, the right thing, and we need to put in their minds the right things, the right messages. And this is not to be like some kind of like, Christian, some people even try to say, or like anything like that. It has nothing to do with religion or church. It has to do with being a good person. I think everybody wants that. I think everybody will want themselves and other people to be a good person. I think hurt people, right? So I'm pretty sure those hurt people wish the other people that hurt them, they never would have done that. Of course, they chose to keep doing the evilness and keep, being the perpetrator. You don't have to. I went through a lot when I was little, and I don't have to do it to other people. I chose not to. There's some people that choose to. I don't know, maybe they feel a different way about it. They must have their reasons, right? At the end of the day, they're trying to survive. And maybe that's the only way they can get rid of all those feelings. I'm not saying that it's the right thing to do. I'm just saying that every human being has the need to survive. And sometimes they go through measures to, even that out or try to fulfill that. And of course, it's not right to hurt people or to take advantage just for your own personal gain. It's not right. And I think that's one of the main things that corporations kind of put in our mind. Well, other people do it. It's like the survival of the fittest. But that survival of the fittest it's never going to build a community. It's only going to build more depression, more separation. There's no team when you do things like that. And, we do need to make sure that, we try our best every single day to be good people again. Thank you so much for tuning in to TC the G Radio. I hope you enjoyed this broadcast. What are your thoughts on this topic of conversation? Health is wealth. I want to know. Comment, like, share, and remember to tune in and show some love every Wednesday at 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Also connect with me on social media to get more of me and my musical content. I will leave all of my social media and contact info in the video's description. Again, thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in and for allowing me to share this time with you. Take care. Saludos.